With season 9 premiering yesterday, I've been wanting to talk about this. Recently I did a video talking about the Panda Icing in season 9 and whether or not we're going to get an upfront or subtle Panda Icing or a combination of both. But I think the biggest Panda Icing, or panderizing, if you will, that the creative staff can really give longtime fans is Spike and Rarity. And in a sense, they kind of did that already with Spike's portion of True Gift to Giving, the song that closed out the best gift ever, which was more like a love ballad, in my opinion, than anything, and Rarity's reaction kind of told the whole story on that. I think if you want to talk about pandonizing and giving the fans something in return as a thank you, then going all the way with Spike and Rarity, doing the Sparity deal, making it official, is probably one of the best solutions to go with. But when we look over the past 8 seasons, now in the 9th season, Spike and Rarity's friendship, very, very close friendship, bondness, relationship, whatever you want to call it, has not come without a bit of controversy, without a bit of debate. You see, it's no secret that if you research the fandom, if you're new to the fandom over the past year or couple of years, and you research the whole backstory on these two characters and why fans support them and fans sometimes don't, it all dials back to the first season. It's when Spike and Twilight first met Rarity, and Spike's reaction, according to Law and Faust, was the reaction that, well, she wanted him to have, because she wanted to have Spike be our personal point of view of how gorgeous and beautiful Rarity was. And from there, it just took a snowball effect. In other words, it just kept rolling and rolling and rolling into something more and more and more. And when we got to Secret of My Excess, to me, that was Law and Faust's way of trying to say, look, there's no problem with Spike having these feelings for Rarity, and the fact that, he confessed his feelings to her, which she kind of already acknowledged in her own way, with tears in her eyes and everything, kind of letting him know, yeah, I know. I think Law and Faust, my honest opinion, really didn't have a problem with putting these two together had she remained on as executive producer. But the one thing that A&Y said in a video a couple years back in response to a friend of his was, during a BabsCon panel in 2014, Meghan McCarthy and the crew didn't necessarily say it was not possible. It's just that right now it's kind of like, or at that time, it just kind of didn't make sense. It's like they weren't writing it off. It's just that doing a Spike, Rarity, Sparity kind of story arc or episode or whatever wasn't in the cards. It wasn't in the planning process, if you will. Now, whether or not Meghan McCarthy sticks by what she says and by indicating Spike and Rarity would never happen, that's all in the past now, because A&Y said it best. He said it best at the end of his video when he said it basically all depends on the future. Because when he did this video, it was in 2014, he said basically, we have no idea what's going to happen in the next several years. We don't. And he was right. We didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, for all we knew, Meghan McCarthy was going to remain as executive producer to the very end, but she didn't. Instead, we have a new executive producer in Nicole Dubuque, and ever since she's come on board, all of a sudden, her and Josh Haber, along with the creative staff, have suddenly decided to put Sparity, Spike Rarity, if you will, back into the spotlight somewhat, which kind of tells me that they knew that with season 8 and 9 being the last 2 seasons, that Sparity would be one of those discussions or one of those situations, arcs, if you will, character arc, whatever, that fans would want to see resolved. But they also knew perhaps fans would want to see it resolved in a way that they would hope for, they would expect to happen. They would want the kind of payoff that makes sense. And A&Y was correct in that point. I mean, you take a look at this upcoming season, and you kind of have already, like I said before, a shipping episode or a ship teased in an upcoming episode. And it involves members of the Student Six. And yes, guess who also is involved in this as well? Rarity. And if Rarity's involved, then that means we might get Spike in there. So who's to say that may or may not be the episode where they take that next step? We don't know. But when you take a look at what happened in the premiere here with Discord and Fluttershy, it kind of tells you that they are planning to do something with those two. And in a sense, by indicating that, they're also planning to do something, obviously, with other ships or tease ships that have been around as well. And we're talking, like I said, Spike and Rarity, for example. I mean, again, I bring this up. Why do you think they probably started shipping secondary characters, secondary, minor, major characters in Maud Pie with Mud Briar last season, or Big Mac with Sugar Bell the season before, and even doing another episode dedicated around them? It's like they were testing the waters, and now by testing those waters and obviously knowing they were going to get a positive reaction or a mixed reaction or any reaction of any kind, they're probably going to move forward by pairing members of the main six, and if not the student six, together. And it's like I said in the in the audio video I did on Panda Icing. It's the last season. There's going to be no more season after this, as far as we know. I mean, for all we know, we're probably just going to get several 44-minute to 1-hour specials. But after this season, that's it. So why not go all the way? Why not ship the characters that you know fans would like to see ship and may get behind or have been waiting to see get shipped? It makes sense. And I think that's what Nicole Dubuque, Josh Haber, and several others are looking at. I mean, look, everybody has a right to their opinion. You don't want to support Sparity, Spike, Rarity, that's fine. I mean, the reason people feel it shouldn't be supported is, like I think I've talked about before, and everybody's pointed out, you have Rarity that uses her feminine charms to kind of, flirt and charm Spike into doing whatever whatever she wants, or the fact that, Spike does all this for her, but she really doesn't do anything in return. But we got to realize that's not necessarily so. She gave him something in return in a dog and pony show when he helped her look for gems. The point is, guys, you could debate whether or not this will work or it won't. Some have even said that the reason it won't work is because of age. But someone pointed out at one point that we don't know exactly what Spike's age is. And Lauren Faust even indicated, in a sense, when she created the show, or created this incarnation, that, Spike's not, a child. She did not say he was a baby dragon or anything like that. And from what we have seen and has been indicated and hinted at, dragons come in various shapes and sizes. So all we know, Spike could be full grown, but he's just small for his stature. I mean, the same, when you look at it, can be said for Smolder. The same could be said for Ember, it's all depending on whether or not these characters allow themselves to grow. And one of the main weaknesses sometimes when it comes to that is greed. But Spike doesn't put greed in front of him anymore because he knows exactly what would happen from personal experience. Same with Smolder, same with Ember. They don't value treasures, they value other things that help keep that greed in, help keep that side of them, that greedy side of them, intact. So who's to say Spike's not full grown? He's just small for his size. And if you look at it from that perspective, then yes, there is a chance. Now, again, I understand why fans would feel otherwise. I mean, when you look at the community from behind the scenes over the past several years, yeah, there have been some incidences that would really not put you in favor of having a character like Rarity get together with a character like Spike, because it would give off the wrong vibes. But I don't think that's necessarily an issue. That's not. And who's to say the creative staff at MLPFIM even pays attention to some of those unfortunate incidents that happen behind the scenes with the Brony and Pegasus community and all that. I mean, they do, but sometimes they don't. But you kind of understand what I'm saying, right? I mean, everybody has a right to their opinion. But this is the last season. And I think if there's any stronger, if not better chance for this to happen, it's now. We've already gotten hints over the past season or so it's going to happen, that there's something there, especially with Best Gift Ever. They've already teased that they're going to do something more with Fluttershy and Discord. They're teasing a ship episode, if you will, or teasing a ship with an upcoming episode between two members of the Student Six. And pretty much this is one possible romantic scenario that's been building over the past near decade. Again, I look at shows that I watched back when I was a kid, like Family Matters. I look at shows like even Saved by the Bell. You know, and all the obstacles that the two characters that you knew were going to get together or being teased to get together had to go through. Zach and Kelly in the Saved by the Bell series, Steve Urkel and Laura Winslow. The list goes on. Even Sonic the Hedgehog in the comic books when they were run by Archie Comics. Him and Sally went through various obstacles, but they always ended up together. The end result was you knew they were building to this moment. Sometimes would the writers tease that wasn't going to happen? Absolutely. But in the end, they knew that's what fans were going to expect, and they delivered. And the same could be said here. You know, you may not agree with it, you may not like it, but when you think about it, it is the final season. And we have to look at it like that. So that's all I'm going to say, guys. Let me know what you all think down below. Comment if you like. Do you agree with what I've had to say? And I will talk to you all later.